Yes, everybody, welcome back. My name is Stephen Howson. This is a tactical preview of United trip to Brighton this weekend. And so let's start with a couple of quotes that we've got, and then we'll go through the team news, a little bit on our opponents, and then what I think the starting 11 should be going into this week then. Ole on the United start to the season. He says we need 4 or 5 games to get up to the standard that we know we are capable of. We haven't had an opportunity to get those games in. We have to make sure in these games that we get minutes and make the players ready to start competing in the league again. A couple of people after the game last week against Crystal Palace was saying like there's a very pre-season vibe to this. United are currently in that mode, and some of the teams that are featured a couple of weeks ahead of us, they've had a longer pre-season, they've started competition a little bit earlier, and they look a little bit fresher for it. Not sure that's a valid reason or an excuse for the poor performance that we saw from United this weekend just gone, but it might be a mitigating factor which might get a little bit more performance out of us as the weeks go ahead. We can only hope. We didn't necessarily see that against Luton. I don't think there would be a fair test to measure ourselves against. Team news then, Axel Tuanzebe and Phil Jones are the only confirmed absentees through injury. No shocks there for anybody, but there could be changes from the defeat against Crystal Palace. Wan-Bissaka, Matic and Mason Greenwood could all return to the team after improving their match fitness against Luton on Tuesday. Yves Bissouma is serving a suspension after the red card that he got against Newcastle, and he's going to miss United's games in the coming week, both of those. He is Brighton's only notable absentee, though, with Neil Maupay and Tariq Lamptey expected to start after being rested against Preston on Wednesday. Past meetings with Brighton, then, they've won 3 of their last 4 home games against United, although they did lose this exact fixture 3-0 near the end of last season. United have won each of the 3 Premier League meetings with Brighton, all current top-flight sides. Only against Leicester are we on a longer current winning run. Head-to-head history then, United have won 15, which is 65%. Brighton have only won 3, and we've drawn 5 times. Managerial head-to-head, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has defeated Graham Potter both times the managers have met. United beat Brighton 3-1 in the league last season before winning 3-0 at the Amex. As we mentioned then, on the form, United haven't lost both of our opening 2 Premier League games in the season since the inaugural campaign when we lost to Sheffield United and to Everton. We obviously went on to lift the title that season. We've won our last 4 Premier League away games by an aggregate score of 10-0, which gives you a little bit of hope, I guess. The last Premier League team to win 5 consecutive away games without conceding was, checks notes, Manchester United in 2011, December 2011. However, United haven't won their first away league game in either of the last 2 seasons, including a 3-2 loss to Brighton in 18-19. Interestingly, though, Brighton have only won just 1 of their 10 Premier League home games so far in 2020. They've drawn 4 and they've lost 5, beating Arsenal 2-1 in June. They have lost 4 of their last 5 at the Amex and only drawn 1, shipping at least 3 goals in each defeat. That being said, they have started this season in decent sort of spirits. Graham Potter lines them up with a 3 at the back in the Premier League this season. Matt Ryan's obviously reliable in goal. I think a lot of us went with him as our choice for fantasy goalkeeper. You've got Ben White, Adam Webster and Lewis Dunk making up the rest of the centre-backs. And they do play with very attacking fullbacks. Solly March has been converted into a left wing back, and he joins Tariq Lamptey, who I think has been most people's surprise package of the season. I think he's been putting in some genuinely top performances. The sort of performance where you go, fucking hell, I hope he can keep this going for the entire season, because that's impressive. He looks absolutely phenomenal, and I would like United to try and do something to deal with him, because he could cause us a bit of a threat. Bissouma's usually partnered with Alzat in midfield, but due to the suspension, I reckon Adam Lallana is going to step in. The informed pairing of Maupay and Trossard will be up front, with either Adam Connolly or Pascal Gross providing some support. Gross has either scored or assisted in each of his 4 Premier League appearances against United, scoring the winning goal in both of Brighton's victories against us in this competition. United's team for this one then, I'm fully expecting it to be 4-3-3. Almost 4-2-3-1, you know, the way we like to play it. And I'm going to go with a back line. I'm going to go with De Gea in that. I think it needs mentioning now, doesn't it? Because the form of Dean Henderson, the decent save that he pulled off midweek, only piling the pressure on David De Gea. But I do think that the designation for this season is going to be that De Gea is the league keeper. And Henderson will get his run in the Cups. That being said, Wan-Bissaka at right back, Williams at left back, looking for him to try and deal with Tariq Lamptey and match him for pace. Maguire and Lindelof centre half. Although I'd love to bring in Baye, I just don't think he's gonna. Matic, Pogba, Bruno as a midfield three. Although I wouldn't be shocked or disappointed to see Donny van der Beek thrown in there at some point as well. Greenwood on the right, Marshall up the middle, and Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. I thought both of those looked good in midweek. Again, Luton, they're doing all right in the Championship, but not really the sort of team that you can be using to measure yourself at. What I want from United is just a better performance and a better vibe about the performance, a little bit of tempo to our play, a little bit more quality about us, and a little bit less mistakes. I think that's easy for us to ask for, and I think that's easier for them to deliver on as well. I think I've got questions. Yeah, I do. Right, then I'm going to head over to our Patreon group if you'd like to support the channel and get some extra content as well. There is a link in the description where you can do just that. Let's see what the script is. So, we've got first question here, and it says, Luton to Brighton isn't very comparable, but Matic, Steele, and generally his role within the team is surely too important to leave out. His age emphasises the need for a replacement as he can't play every single game. I went with Matic. Probably for the same reasons I think you're going for Matic, and that's the one. How do I think we bypass the high press? Do our fullbacks play a massive part in getting round it? Yes. You bypass... all 6s and 7s today. You bypass a high press by moving your midfielders into more ideal positions. With the likes of Mason Greenwood, his first touch is so good. I would be looking for him to come deep. I'd almost try and rotate us into almost a 4-4-2 diamond to play out the back with. If we went with the team I selected, that's what I would go with. You've got Wan-Bissaka, who's, okay, his first touch isn't the greatest and his crossing ability isn't the greatest, but you can still trust him to play out the back with. Same with Williams. You rotate the midfield into a bit of a 4-4-2 diamond, bringing in Greenwood onto that right-hand side, shifting Pogba over to the left, keep Bruno down the centre, and then you've got plenty of options that you can bounce it off and trust the touch of. And I reckon United could play some fantastic one-touch stuff to get out of there. But they have to come shorter and they have to come deeper. That's what they have to do. And then once it crosses the halfway line, then you can look for Martial, you can look for Rashford in space, and you can get in behind them. The big thing with a back three, when it lines up against the three forwards, is that you've got to create an overlap somewhere. That's the difficult thing to do when it's 4-3-3. You have to try and find Bruno, pops in to make it a 4 against 3. If they sit back and make it a back 5, then you've got some problems. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to try and overcome. And you've got to draw them out with a very high line. When there's 3 at the back, they've already started denying you a little bit of space. You have to create space by getting the balls in early. That's what I think, at least, anyway. Why is James shit, says Inferno. He's not shit. He's just not as productive in the final third as we would hope him to be. It wasn't so long ago everyone wanted Matic sold, but somehow he's managed to turn his form round. Is there any current deadwood I feel could spring a surprise and fight their way back into the side? I think there's something in Delo. I certainly think that Tuanzebe, if he's considered deadwood, isn't deadwood. Probably a Gallo. And maybe James, depending on the role. James shouldn't be starting. It's the same as Lingard shouldn't really be starting. But do you know this like rumoured swap deal between Ali and Lingard? Tottenham get the better end of that deal for me. I'd rather have Lingard than Dele Alli. Especially now I've seen that all or nothing Tottenham. Definitely rather have Lingard than Dele Alli. I think Eric Dyer summed him up perfectly. Why are you always fucking moaning? Come throwing your arms about and don't say anything. I think that tells you a lot about what that guy's like. In the darkest timeline, where we don't sign Sancho or any alternative, oh, you mean what's going to happen timeline? Do we have to rely on Mason having another record-breaking season? Yeah, and do you know who doesn't care about that? Fucking Mason. Do I think signing a top-level CDM is on the agenda for United maybe next summer? Do I think either Scott or Fred could be the long-term solution? No, I don't think Scott or Fred could be a long-term solution. Neither of them are fit to lace the boots of someone like Sol. Sol comes into that, and now United have got a sensational midfield. Sol, I put almost on the same level as Thiago in terms of that's just an unbelievable player and an unbelievable signing. And seemingly they need cash now, don't they? They've just brought in Suarez. There was talk that they would have to sell if they do that. Maybe some moves are afoot. If we pulled off Sal, I'd almost not really give a shit about Sancho because we've shored up a position long-term there and we've replaced Matic long-term, and that would do me. Did we stop pressing because we didn't have the fitness levels anymore? Do I see Ollie reintroducing the press once we get a few more players in and get the fitness back? I certainly hope so, because I think we're at our best when we are. Why are we so fucking shit? It can't just be fitness, can it? But it does feel like it massively is, down to fitness. Did I catch Tariq Lamptey's performance against Newcastle? Yes, I did. Could that be the danger man we need to look out for? Absolutely, because he's going to be freed up of most defensive responsibilities. I don't think they'll probably try and double up with the left centre half. Oh, sorry, our left, the right centre half, and Lamptey a little bit on Marcus to slow him down. Wouldn't even be surprised to see the midfield dragged in there a little bit to congest it. But he'll be freed up from a lot of defensive responsibilities and just told to just rampage in behind, maraud, get in the mixer, and he's very good at that. And it wouldn't shock me if he was effective or if they score coming off the back of something he created or started. Reckon we win by letting McDominate 2-foot Lamptey from the off. It's a tactic. I'm excited for doing the exact same preview on Monday. Well, maybe we can get something actually worth looking at from that as well. That'd be a good, wouldn't it? Personally, I feel like Brighton have been in decent form. Do I expect this to be a tougher test than the Crystal Palace game? That's interesting. Yes and no. They are in decent form, but they do ship goals. And I think that if we approach it in the same way and with the same level of quality that we did with Crystal Palace, we're in the shit. Because these will, I think they're probably a little bit better going forward than Crystal Palace were, more organised than Crystal Palace. I really, even though they beat us last week, I still tipped them to go down. And I think I also tipped Brighton to go down, didn't I? So this doesn't feel good thinking about this one. But it's one of those. I think these have got things that we have to worry about a little bit more. I think these are, obviously Lamps is the danger, but I think these also knit quite well going forward as a team, which I don't see in Crystal Palace. I think they're very one-up. Do I think we actually already signed Josh King, given he's not played a single minute for Bournemouth in the Championship or Cup and there is no reports about him being injured? Are we waiting for someone else to come to avoid an underwhelming announcement? Wouldn't put it past United to do that, to be honest. There was a lot of talk, wasn't there, initially, and then it was like, stump. And I mentioned it, then I thought, if you have got Josh King, you don't fucking announce you've got Josh King. Not with the way the fan base has been going at the moment. You wait and you go, oh, we've got Sancho and Josh King, and people are like, oh my God, 2 transfers, this is amazing. And you get a lot more positive sentiment. If United had the audacity to be like, ta-da, we signed Josh King, it would be an absolute bloodbath on social media. That would not be pretty at all. But that's social media, innit? Right, cheers for tuning in for today's preview. So if you want one of these, Kadoosh, this is our programme from our first game. There's the front, there's the back. Check these out. Look at that. Home kit advert, and that's my big fat face. We've even got the obligatory team squad photo in the middle there. Groovy little programme for our first ever home game at Droylsden. That's this weekend. If you're close to Manchester or far enough that you can be arsed driving to Manchester, you can come and watch us at Droylsden FC. Kickoff is 2 p.m. You'll be able to watch the United game beforehand. Then you'll be able to watch Paddock FC in our first ever home game in a stadium. It's free entry. There will be beer. There will be pies. There will be anything else that you want to get in the mixer with. Stand on the terraces and shout abuse at Cam. That's encouraged. And there's no restrictions on how many we're allowed in, weirdly. So come and get in the mixer. Come and support the Paddock. And like I said, check out EDJ Sports, today's sponsor. And I will see you guys in the next one. Laters.